There you go.
Recording. Welcome, Tara and Jackie.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for volunteering to be here today for this discussion. I appreciate that this can be a difficult time for you both with the loss of your mother. I know losing a loved one can be stressful and emotional, but I really believe that you've taken a positive step today towards the resolution of your dispute. So I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you both that anything we speak about today will remain totally confidential. And in fact, I encourage you both to be as free and as frank as you like. Because remember, nothing either of you say here today can be used against you in a legal sense. As a mediator, I'm a neutral person in this conversation. I've got no bias towards anyone, and I'm actually obliged to declare any conflicts which might arise, which might jeopardise my neutral position, as it were. So what I'm going to attempt to do is to try and guide the conversation towards generating some options and some ideas that can hopefully form the beginning of a solution to your dispute. But ultimately, both of you together will control and form the outcome of this dispute. So I was hoping that one of you might like to volunteer to speak first about what has brought you here today. I'll just say that there's no advantage or disadvantage to doing this. You'll both have an equal opportunity to talk about the issues. So would someone like to volunteer?
Yes, I'm happy to.
Thanks, Jake.
Well, while we've come here, our mother has recently passed away, but she didn't have a will in place. And we having a lot of trouble. It's created issues between Tara and I because we can't decide on who gets what, and it's actually causing a rift, and we'd like to try and resolve that. We both want different things, and some of us, and some things we actually want the same item. Sorry.
Thank you. Thanks, Jackie, for getting the ball rolling. I appreciate that. Tara, would you agree that that's the issue, or do you have a different take on the issue that's between you at the moment?
I do think that's the main issue. Just, it is really difficult dealing with our mother's passing, and I suppose, it kind of adds to all the other stresses that are happening in my life at the moment. So, it is kind of difficult. We can't decide on some of the things. I'd really like to have the Mercedes. I think, it's a good car, and I don't see why we should have to get rid of it, and I can put it to good use. But what I'm concerned about as well is that I just, we're dealing with a death here, and she's my sister. I don't want to be arguing about assets and stuff, but at the same time, I have a mortgage to pay, and it's just causing me more anxiety to think about, potentially not dividing things evenly and arguing about it. So I just want to get this resolved.
I totally understand. Okay, thanks for your honesty, Tara. And in fact, in saying that, it's raised some of, you've given me an indication on what some of your underlying interests actually are. So we'll take a closer look at those shortly. But for now, let's just take a really quick look at the assets, so that we know what we're talking about. Okay. So what we're looking at here is quickly a beach house, the Mercedes-Benz that you mentioned, a share portfolio, a family home, a rare art collection, cash, the home contents, and of course Benny the dog, and you can see all the values there. So So they're the main assets, which I just wanted to highlight. So Jackie, if you'll allow me, I just wanted to go back to you and just ask you a question. If the estate were reduced to nothing but a dollar amount, would you be happy to split the estate with Tara, say 50-50 right down the middle? Or do you see yourself getting a greater or a lesser share of the estate?
No, look, Tara's my sister, and I don't want any more than half. We split it equally. That's what I want. I don't want her to get any less, any more. Just 50-50 is good.
Okay, lovely. And what about you, Tara? Are you happy if it was split equally? Do you feel the same?
Of course,
way?
yeah. Yeah, I do. I think at the end of the day, you know, we've got each other now, and I think that's the only fair thing to do.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. So what it would seem as though to me at this stage is that the major difficulty, I think that you did say this, Jackie, and that's that the difficulties arising simply because the items really vary in value, and I think you mentioned that some have more kind of sentimental value than others, and I think Tara, you mentioned that one of those items in particular was the car. So I think this is a really good start. So what I want to do is head in the same direction and just look at some of the details, so we can start to address some of the issues more specifically. So Jackie, I'll just go back to you if I can. Bearing in mind that you want to split this estate evenly, how would you see this estate shared most ideally? What would be your best outcome to the share of this estate from your viewpoint?
Well, like I said, 50-50 is fine when you get it to a dollar value. But the difficulty for me is who's going to get what without selling it. Like, I don't want to sell everything. I would like to keep the family home. I have a young daughter, and I would like to look after her. I appreciate Tara has a mortgage, but you know, I don't have my own home, and I would like to keep that to live in with my daughter. So that's my main thing, somewhere for us to live.
Okay. All right. So hypothetically, Jackie, if we were to liquidate every item in the estate and split it down the middle, and you get half, that wouldn't necessarily be ideal because, for example, there are some items that you'd like to keep. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So you mentioned that you've got a daughter. So I'm starting to see some of your priorities there, Jackie. So setting up a nice home for you and setting up a nice family environment for your daughter, that's a priority for you, is it?
That would be my main one. Yes.
Okay, that's great to know, Jackie. Thanks. What if I could just wave a magic wand and say turn the rest into cash? Would that be all right? Or is there any other items on the list that hold any particular sentimental value, or was it just the house mainly?
Well, the house is the main one, but I really don't want the beach house to be sold.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to take my daughter up there on weekends or some weekends. It's a nice, relaxing place, and and it's been in the family for a while. I really don't want to sell that.
Okay, so the beach house is something you'd like to keep and not sell. Okay, thank you very much. Well, I'm starting to get a sense of some of your priorities, Jackie, which is good. I really believe that placing our cards on the table like this for everyone to see, we can start to move towards a workable solution. Now, Tara, thank you for your patience there, but I'd like to ask you the same question that I asked Jackie. What would be your ideal outcome if you could split it up anyway. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, the main thing is, I think the Mercedes has been in the family for a while as well, and that's the main reason why I'd like to keep it. But again, as Jackie was saying, I don't want to sell the beach house either. I'd like to be able to visit the house in summer.
Right.
The other items listed, it really doesn't bother me. So as long as it's split fairly, those are my two main priorities, I suppose you'd say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So you want the car. You
Yeah.
also want to keep the beach house.
Yeah.
And you don't care about the rest. Does anyone have any thoughts on Benny the dog? Does anyone?
Yes, I would actually love to keep Benny because my daughter, she just loves him and she has cared for him and played for him ever since Mum got him. So there's a real connection there, and I would hate to see her not be with him.
So Tara, what do you think about that? Would you be happy to see Jackie and her daughter look after Benny the dog?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I don't want Benny to essentially go to the RSPCA or anything like that. But I think my concern is just with if we're keeping the beach house and then we've got Jackie living in the family home. I don't know if that's going to be very fair on me. So I'm not sure what to do.
I understand. Okay, well, look, if you'll just allow me to make a crude summary of what I've gleaned from both of you, what you've said and what your priorities are, which of course doesn't deal with a lot of the finer details. Jackie, it appears as though a big interest for you is having the home, so that's for your young family, and the use of the beach house, and of course you want Benny the dog. Would that be generally fair enough to say, Jackie? Do I have that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And Tara, for you, I think Jackie mentioned you've got a mortgage. So is cash a priority for you?
Actually, yeah, that would be helpful. I do have a mortgage, and that's what, yeah, I was talking about that earlier. It is adding to my anxiety as well as everything that's been happening at the moment. So, yeah, I would love to be able to pay a chunk of that off if I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Tara. And of course, you mentioned the car holds sentimental value for you.
Yes.
Jackie, what about the car? Does that hold any sentimental value for you, or would you be happy to
No.
say, if you had a choice, just sell it?
No, I'm happy for Tara to have the car, and I have done a few of the figures myself. I realise that the family home, is worth quite a bit more than the beach house. So I understand we need to find cash there. There is a bit of cash that we could split, the 100,000, but I had an idea that maybe the art collection, the rare art collection that's in the family home, I'm not concerned with that. I don't mind if Tara wants to have that, or she wants to sell it and get a bit of money that way. I'm happy because that's not something I'm interested in. That might just make it a bit more fair.
Well, that's a really interesting suggestion, Jackie. Let me come back to that. What I'm going to do, I'll just continue along this hypothetical path because at this stage it's all hypothetical. But I think we can definitely come up with some workable options from the various interests that we've all talked about. So look, if you'll allow me, I'm just going to throw up a crude kind of split based on some of the interests that you've raised, and just see how this sits with you both, and we'll just take a look. So just bear with me, and I'll just throw this up. So as you can see in this split, Jackie, you end up with the home and Benny the dog, which you mentioned that you'd like. And Tara, you end up with the share portfolio, the cash, the car that you wanted, and the rare art collection. And that gives you a fairly even split there. How are you guys feeling about this as a general kind of indication as to how it could be? And I'll just come back to you.
I think it could work. I mean, the car would be the market value at the moment, and it seems fairly equal. So, and we'd be sharing the beach house as well, which I think works really well. Yeah, I think this works.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Jackie?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea, and I'm actually glad too about the beach house, because if Tara's mainly interested in having it over summer for that longer period, it just means that, you know, Nellie and I can go up on some weekends, or, you know, Tara, Nellie and I can go up at different times together, and
Right.
it's still there and we can work that out. No, I'm happy with that.
All right, fantastic. Well, guys, look, I'd like to end the session at this point, because I think I just want you both to go away, just consider the options that we've discussed today, and just think about how it'd make you feel if it was actually put into legal effect. When we reconvene, we can move from this place of common ground that we found today, and towards hopefully finding a resolution. Would this be okay?
Yeah, I
That'd be
think
good. Thank
I'd
you.
like to think about it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, lovely. Well, let's adjourn our meeting for today. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll catch up again shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.